You'll oftentimes notice that in Madden 22, games of a competitive nature are won and lost based off of who has the most situational dots to attack a cover 2 based defense or a cover 2 blitz. In today's video, I'm going to share with you one of my sneakier under the radar style setups that I like to go to in a crunch if my opponent is sniffing out the traditional meta setups. Let's go ahead and get into it. What is up, guys? Dan from the Madden YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the fade stop route. The fade stop route is a route that I've used over the last couple of years. It's one of my favorite situational chunk yardage routes that I will typically use to get back into a set of downs. Like say it's second down and 20 after a long sack. This is something that I might go ahead and call to get myself back to a first down or close to a first down, and get yourself a huge chunk of yardage against some of these zone drop setups and some of these cover 2 blitzes. So I want to go ahead and reintroduce this route. I haven't really talked about it a ton this year, but it is something that I do have in my LA Rams offense in the single back bunch formation. In this play, single back bunch Z spot, you're going to notice that the solo receiver or the split end receiver is basically a player that is on a fade stop. Now, this is really good against zone drops, in particular some of those mabel setups in which you might face a cover 3 shell with a deep third over the top, a zone drop blue maybe set to 25 or 30, and then traditionally they're going to have like a purple zone set to 0, 5 or 10 yards based off of the down and distance that you're on. But the really tender area in a zone coverage, especially against mabel style coverage, is going to be that 15 to 20 to 25 yard area on the sideline, which is the perfect area for a smart routed fade stop. So let's go ahead and kind of show you what this looks like. First, I'm going to start off against a cover 3 style defense, and then we're going to work into the cover 2 meta. So you'll see right here that Cooper Kupp is on a fade stop route. Traditionally, if we were to snap this ball against a cover 3, it's not the best route in the world at all. A curl flat will guard that very easily. As you see that I threw a pick right there to Jesse Bates. But what is really interesting about this route is that when you smart route it, it is going to run a lot deeper than 10 yards. So it's actually going to go all the way up to 20 yards. You see that we're spotted here on the south 40. It's running to the north 40 for a net gain of 20 yards. And what's really cool about this is that if you go ahead and attack the flat, whether it be with a drag to the tight end, a swing to the running back, whatever route that you want to use to attack the short sideline, this creates what is essentially a super curl flat combo where you can kind of throw this ball out there and pick up the 20 yards that I mentioned. So really solid route that you can throw kind of in between the mabel zones. Again, when you face a mabel style coverage, you have to kind of assume that we could use zone drops here. They would traditionally put 3 zones on the sideline. One of them is going to be a deep third, the other one is going to be a purple zone, and the other one is going to be a blue zone. So it just kind of depends on what those depths are, but traditionally you're going to see a blue zone kind of drop out to a depth of about 25 or 30 yards. So if they're setting their blue zones to go right here, obviously we caught the ball at the other 40 in the previous example. There's a nice cushion of about 5 to 10 yards where you can get a nice catch in traffic against this, especially when you consider that this guy is going to continue running deep as well and did not play that smart routed fade stop on the previous example. So what you end up with is essentially a route that sets at the 40 and you're able to throw it in between all those mabel zones. Now that is really valuable simply because mabel zones are intended to filter everything that the offensive player is doing inside to the user. The user does not want to have to use the sidelines, so that's why they want to force all the throws over the middle. So the ability to have a dot that actually does set on the sideline away from the user is extremely invaluable to your offense. Now that's traditionally against the mabel style coverage. We're going to focus on kind of how to attack the cover 2 meta here in today's video. If you guys are enjoying this free YouTube content, I would strongly urge you to go over to my strategy website. GridironGameplans.gg is your one-stop source for all things competitive Madden. Every week in our Vault Update, we take a look at the meta, or the most effective tactics available being used by pro players on the MCS circuit, breaking down not only how and why the pros do what they do, but most importantly, how you can counter those metas when you face them in online gameplay. On top of that, your subscription also includes any and every offensive and defensive game plan released on the website while your subscription is active, and access to our Discord server, where every single Wednesday, we have a live lab session covering the week's vault content and any questions you guys have about Madden. So make sure you guys head over to gridirongameplans.gg. $9.95 per month unlocks the entire website. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the ever-loved pinch 2 out of the 2-4-5 odd, and I'm going to call this same play Z-spot. And what we're going to do is we're going to smart route this receiver, and we're actually going to motion him into the seam because we want him running this route from the slot, because this will actually stay away from a cloud flat. And believe it or not, a stock cloud flat does a really good job of playing the smart route and fade stop, but only if it's in the outside position. If you were to motion this route inside to the seam or the slot receiver position, you're going to actually get a nice release. And if you think about how the meta of the 2-4-5 odd goes, you traditionally are going to get a user that wants to make their first step in towards the line. So a lot of players are going to try to swoop down towards the line. Now, if you can kind of imagine that when we go ahead and do this, they're swooping, you know, you could throw that ball hot off the line, especially if you have a velocity ability, whether that be gunslinger, pass lead elite, or set feed lead. So that's a really, really valuable quick pass if your opponent is in a cover 2 blitz, swooping towards the line, and they haven't walked their safeties down. But naturally, after you attack them in the seam a few times, your opponents will walk the safeties down for the purpose of, like I said, taking away that quick throw. That is where this route is still really, really valuable. So what we're going to do is we're going to motion this guy into the slot, smart route him up to 20 yards. And again, what we're going to do with this is we're just going to wait on this coverage to basically kind of allow us to have a hole in the zone while the user is swooping. So naturally, what a lot of players will do is they will run down towards the line. And again, with our route being smart routed up, you're going to see here that if they're hanging out down here, you could actually throw that ball right there where Cooper Kupp was setting. Now, right there, I got swallowed up because I was trying to swoop with the defensive controller and just press a regular bullet pass with the offensive controller. But again, you could tell right here in this area, if I had stepped one step further back from the line, I would not have gotten tripped up right here on this. And Cooper Kupp is setting down very, very nicely in this zone. And you see that really what is nice about this is the cloud flat runs away, as does the deep half on this particular route. So once he settles down and turns and shows his numbers to the quarterback, that is really where this is going to pay you some big dividends. Now, a lot of players will user over here, and if they're usering over there, that's even better because that's the side that is opposite the user. I personally love to use the identifier ability simply so I can see who my opponent is using. I still use that scrambler Tom Brady that I talked about in a YouTube video back in December. I'm a big believer in that card. I think it's one of the better quarterback cards in the game, saves you a ton of AP and gives you exactly what you need to run an effective offense from the pocket or sometimes roll out with him. But if your opponent is hanging out over on the other side, you're going to be able to really throw this ball. So again here, this is really good against cloud flat setups. You're basically going to be able to snap the ball, and provided that your pass protection is sound, you're going to throw this ball in rhythm right as he turns and shows his numbers. So you're going to see right here that, you know, you can throw that obviously over the top of that player. Now, the one thing that I will say is if they are usering on the other side, you notice that that vert hook kind of got underneath of that route. You don't want that to happen. So what you would likely need to do is probably go ahead and avoid a max protect. Try to send somebody underneath that's going to pull that vertical hook down. I think that that's really, really valuable simply because a lot of players want to take away checkdowns, especially. So you're going to find a lot of shaded down vert hooks in general. But if you can just send somebody underneath, it's going to keep that other vert hook from getting a little too aggressive in the seam, which can really, really help out this pass play. So this is actually probably a better play in general if they're using the side that you're motioning Cooper Kupp into, but it can be effective if you just drag a receiver underneath. So again, here, as we snap this ball, you send this drag underneath, you should notice that the vert hook bites down, and then you can throw that ball over the top of that guy's head. Now, right there, that was a pressure inaccurate, no velocity ability, no anything. And you see that we're able to fit that ball over the top of that vert hook. Again, most competitive players are playing cover 2. They're shading their vert hooks down to take away those running back checkdowns, ins, outs, Texas routes, things like that, as well as drags and, you know, stuff like that from other receivers on the field. So a lot of players want to lurk one vert hook and shade down on the other, and they take the entire middle themselves. So this is a really, really valuable route, but naturally this is a route that I've only got here in one play. I'm now going to show you guys what you need to do to make this work out of pretty much any formation in the game. So now I've re-entered practice mode and I've got Tom Brady, who has the hot route master. If you guys have a hot route master, every outside receiver in a spread formation is going to have the fade stop as a hot route. If you don't want to use a hot route master, or maybe you play regs and you don't use a quarterback that has a hot route master, You might want to go ahead and use an outside apprentice or a wide receiver apprentice to get this route on an outside receiver. So let's go ahead and show this to you. I'm going to go ahead and choose a formation like gun doubles, for instance. And what we could go ahead and do is I'm going to call, let's call another cover 2. Let's call DB Fire 2 at $1. Very, very popular. We're going to go ahead and put the ball on a hash mark again. Let's go ahead and put it on the 40. And with the outside receiver, what you want to do is go ahead and put him on the fade stop and then smart route it up. And it goes all the way to 20, just like we had in the previous example. And again, what's really, really nice about this is that, yes, while it is a little bit tougher to run against a cover 2 on the outside, you do still have the ability to throw this check down against a stock cloud flat with a simple curl flat combo. So if they want to play a cloud flat underneath that on the outside, you're going to be able to pick up a free first down just by attacking the flat very, very easily. So you see how the cloud flat on that side is definitely running with him. We throw this and we're able to scamper upfield for a gain of about 13, 14 yards. So, you know, with that particular read, our primary read is 20 yards if it's open. Our check down can get us anywhere from 10 to 15. So that's a pretty solid check down for this particular concept. But you do have the ability to go ahead and put Mike Evans on a fade stop and, you know, motion him inside, whether that's inside to the same side slot or across the formation and make it a curl on the other side. You know, again, it's going to work the exact same way. And in fact, you could go ahead and, you know, try fade stops on the other outside receiver as well. Just depending on what they're doing with their coverage, you might have an open receiver to the wide side of the field. But again, here, when we snap this ball, you're going to be able to kind of read this right here. I would have thrown the ball to A because that vert hook dropped out underneath the curl flat. But again, what's really, really valuable about this is understanding how most players tend to use her. Most players want to use her in swoop. So if they're kind of working from this position down into the middle of the field and hanging out low, that's really where you're going to be able to throw the ball. So, you know, motioning these fade stops in towards the numbers and then snapping this ball. And you're going to see here that I could go ahead and throw this ball right there to Evans. And you see that that's an easy gain of 25 yards. And right there, I had a velocity ability. So that ball got there pretty quickly. You actually could throw him open. You know, you don't have to wait like we did with Cooper Kupp. You know, we threw this ball a little bit before he even was ready, and we were able to go ahead and click on make a catch and fall forward for another 6 yards. So a nice gain of 26 right there. And basically all you have to do is just kind of know which side they're using. If they're using this player and their first step is inside towards the numbers, or inside towards the center rather, sorry about that, you know, you could go ahead and throw this ball hot, or you could let him settle down at 20 yards and throw it. And the thing that you have to kind of understand is that you can really pull the user low. If you wanted to go ahead and put Mike Evans on that fade stop, smart route him, motion him into the seam, and then maybe run, you know, the running back on an in route out of the backfield, that's definitely something that you can go ahead and do. You know, you have the potential to kind of, you know, hold the user low, you know, do whatever you want with this. Just kind of run some meshing combos underneath, really force them to hold that user down. And if you could do that, that's going to end up paying out really well for you. So again, you know, this player is going to kind of play low. And if you see that, you can, you know, throw that hitch up at about 20 yards. So you see right here, okay, our player is low. I'm going to go ahead and throw the ball right there where our opponent is not using. So there you guys have it, the fade stop. I love it. It's something that I use obviously against mabel coverage. You can run it on the sideline against mabel coverage, but against the cover 2, you motion that route into the seam and let that kind of settle down deep over the middle of the field where the user is not expecting it. So that's today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, make sure you guys drop those below. Consider subscribing to the channel if you guys enjoy the content. If you guys want even more, head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow with our next video upload. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.